invited Tuesday, September 18th, right across the street at Rhinebeck Town Hall at 5:30 p.m. It's a forum on redistricting fairly without gerrymandering. And actually today's Daily Freeman editorial, I'm not going to read the whole piece, but it talks about how the relationship between the county legislature and voters becomes twisted when lawmakers at any level draw their own districts, effectively choosing their own constituents rather than the other way around. That is actually what's happening in Dutchess County. The Daily Freeman and the Poughkeepsie Journal have run editorials rather horrified that the Independent Redistricting Commission has been done away with. One of the maps that's been proposed has me in with half of Hyde Park, and I wouldn't be representing Rhinebeck anymore. I wouldn't even be representing 80% of the town of Clinton anymore. But there's all these maps flying around. A lot of it's happening behind closed doors. Some of the top people in the state are going to be here in Rhinebeck. I really urge people, anybody who cares about democracy or fair reapportionment, come to Rhinebeck Town Hall next Tuesday, the 18th, 5:30 p.m. Last thing I'll say is this. We've already lost 200 county employees over the last few years. We don't have an Office of Consumer Affairs. We don't have a Project Return program at the Youth Bureau, which is very effective, dealing with 45 at-risk kids each year, keeping them mixed out of the criminal justice system. We don't have a Human Rights Commission. There's a lot of things we don't have. And now it looks like we're about to lose another 79 county employees. And so there's no money for nothing. We gotta put a hit out on the villages and the towns. $18,000 hit to the village of Rhinebeck. So I'm saying there's another way. And the other thing that I passed out points out that people who make $500,000 or more here in Dutchess County are basically paying about $18 million a year less in federal income taxes now compared to about 12, 13 years ago. And in Yonkers in New York City, they have local level income taxes. I'm just saying the same thing I've said for the last 10 years because in the words of the immortal Seal, sometimes you get a little bit crazy. And there's going to be an incredible amount of more budget cuts and more layoffs and more hurt and passing the blame to the municipalities unless we do something different. Because there's actually $180 million over the last 10 years that's gone in the Bush income tax cuts to the richest 3%. People are making over $500,000 a year. What can we do about it? We can have a county level income tax on those folks, take back $6, $10, $15 million so we stop hurting the municipalities, stop forcing people out of work, et cetera, et cetera. The last thing I'll say is this. The Northern Dutchess Alliance 4 years ago came up with an economic blueprint for a blueprint for economic development. Michael Schuman, economic development extraordinaire, Ann Davis from Marist College Bureau of Economic Research, Melissa Evers, Sustainable Hudson Valley. I've been talking with Marianne Johnson. Northern Dutchess Alliance hasn't really taken a look at what's happened. Those recommendations, all the stuff that people are buying that comes from outside the community, we could be stimulating local business. The guy who helped with that report on Northern Dutchess, and you can see the Northern Dutchess Alliance report on their website, he has a new book. I just picked it up at Oblong Books, Local Dollars, Local Cents. There's a lot of ways in this book to turn Rhinebeck around, and Clinton and Northern Dutchess County. The first thing we need to do is get the Northern Dutchess Alliance to look at that report, the Northern Dutchess Alliance, the Blueprint for Economic Development. Thank you for your patience. I got to run to the Clinton Town Board meeting. Heinz, congratulations.
Thanks, Joel. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call Judge Kane up, and we will have the swearing in of Heinz Sauer as a member of the village board.
Heinz, would you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Heinz Sauer,
I, Heinz Sauer,
do solemnly
swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of village trustee
discharge the duties of village trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for being our victim.
And Jim, thanks for allowing me to be part of this ceremony.
John, thanks for being here.
Honorable thing.
Appreciate it. Wayne Reifenberg's in the audience tonight. He still hasn't gone away. So I would just like to one more time recognize Wayne. Wayne and Howie and I ran together for village trustees back in 2009. And, Wayne served with us for almost 2 terms. Was a tremendous asset to not only myself, but to the entire village board and to this community. And I just can't thank him enough for everything he's done. Thank you, Wayne. And we have Heinz to replace him, and I can't thank him enough, and I know he will do just as good a job as Wayne has. So thank you for being willing to participate. All right, first item on the agenda for tonight would be our community block grant. Every year, the Village of Rhinebeck Board decides to participate in the community block grant program. Community block grant is a program through the county, and we can receive funding for different types of initiatives. Low-income housing type of initiatives are there. We, because of our median income, really only have a chance of getting funds for handicap accessible issues. So that's what we pursued for the last 5 years and have not been successful. We feel that we've tweaked and improved our applications every year, and we're not going to give up till we are successful. So we are once again going to apply this year, as long as this board agrees tonight. We've already had preliminary discussions on this, that we will apply once again for funding for 2 additional handicap crosswalks, one to be located on West Market Street and one to be located on Mill Street, somewhere around M&T Bank. To that regard, I have a meeting scheduled with DOT for next Tuesday to bring them on board and have them endorse our plan, which they did with the 2 we've already put in. Part of the process that we have to go through is we have to adopt a resolution, and it has to be recorded in our minutes, of course. And we have to determine the amount of funding we are willing to participate on a percentage basis and help fund the project. So that is the purpose of what we're doing here tonight. So what I'm going to do at this time is, just, I guess, reaffirm with the board that we, in fact, this is what we want to pursue this year for community block grant funding. Grant?
Yeah, I think that we should. We don't stand a good shot at getting funding for sidewalks, so I think the 2 would complement the 2 that we did this fiscal year, so.
Additionally, what I would add is that the 2 crosswalks that have already been installed, we were very fortunate to receive a grant from the Greenway, and that helped us install those. We did contribute some money. We have built some money into the budget for yearly sidewalk crosswalk improvements. So Greenway helped us out, and we contributed part of the money. Howie?
Yeah, of course, we should go for the grant. I see Mr. Dunn's here, our police sergeant. Is he involved with picking the areas that we select, or how does that get picked?
He hasn't been in the past. He's responsible for the enforcement.
Oh, no, I understand, but I didn't know if he had some input as to where the best places are.
It's basically our decision.
Mm-hmm.
And, what I will mention again, we consult with the proper experts to make sure that, it's on state highways, so we have to do it with DOT approval, so. They're pretty good at figuring out where these things need to be.
Okay.
What was our contribution to the solar panels that helped out get the grant?
I think it was 20%.
Yeah. Did you come up with a proportion that you like, Jim?
Yeah,
or-
I've got some figures here that we can talk about.
I fully support that effort.
Okay,
I think it's a good thing for the village.
we're in this stack here. I have the numbers. All right, based on what we have done prior with what we have down the street here and over by Terrapin, we came up with an estimate of about $49,000 to install the 2. That includes engineering costs, the construction, striping of the paint, advertising, and possible legal expense. If we go with 20%, that's going to be $9,800 would be our contribution. If we go with 15%, it would be $7,350. You know, I think that we've built $30,000 into the budget for sidewalk improvements for the year. What we could take into consideration is what we would consider a reasonable time frame and whether it would fall within this budget cycle or the following budget cycle. For example, these crosswalks we just did back in June, correct? Yeah. So we'd actually be in the next budget year when we were to
Right.
construct them if we followed the same timetable. And I believe that's a realistic objective. If we are successful getting the community block grant, we'll find out in December.
Yeah.
And then we could
We
go out
had
to bid in
trouble
the spring.
We didn't even had trouble getting bids in the off-season, right, because of the
Yeah.
climate.
Yeah, well, we had,
So we're gonna have
when
to
we
wait
decided we were going through the Greenway program, we had tried to get bids last fall, and we didn't even, nobody even submitted a bid
Yeah.
because it was too late in the year. So if we're awarded the block grant in December, we could go out to bid in the spring and construct early, so.
What percent did we do for those?
Well, on the Greenway, it was a matching grant. Right, Clara?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and part of it was in kind.
This is different. So it seems we're all on board with the idea. So I'll make a motion at this time that we approve 2 handicap crosswalk, one to be located on West Market Street, one to be located on Mill Street, and that we contribute 20% to the project at a cost of approximately $9,800. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you.
Clara had something.
Clara?
I just wanted to comment to your question about how do we decide.
Yeah.
During the pedestrian task force initiative, we worked with county planning and also Duquette Engineering, that's now Earth.
Yes.
Suggested those were the places that are outstanding, are the ones that would be best suitable for crosswalks, because that's where people cross. And so you want to provide safety for them. So it wasn't an arbitrary decision.
No, I knew somebody was guiding us, but I just
Yes,
wanted to know who.
yes.
If it was so many feet from the intersection or,
Right. So it's based on where people actually jaywalk.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is Santa Claus. We have the ladies of Santa Claus here this evening. They are requesting that the village board approve the closure of East Market Street between the municipal parking lot and, based on a conversation we had yesterday, perhaps from Center Street to the light at Route 9. So they have been doing some work behind the scenes to, how do I want to say it, sell it to the business community. And they are here this evening to discuss that, and they also are here to seek our approval for closure of the parking lot, as we have done in the past, certain segments at certain times, and also for the closure of the parade route. So with that said, I will turn it over to you.
That was not a hard sell. That's all I can tell you.
Let me just preface it with one thing. I did get a phone call late this afternoon. I was in a meeting all day out in Millbrook, but I did get a phone call late this afternoon from Rhinebeck Bank. And they want to speak with me because they just want some answers to some questions, so I have to get a hold of Carolyn.
Sure. And I spoke with Carolyn
She-
after you
she mentioned
spoke
that.
and answered some of the questions.
Yep.
It
So
was-
go ahead, Leila. Step
that
up to
was-
the microphone, please.
I'm Leila, and these are some of the businesses that I did get responses from, if you would like copies of this list. Pass it around. It was definitely a fairly unanimous, supported idea. Primarily, everybody saw it as a safety issue, and they loved the idea of that. I think you can see on there, there's only one person that I spoke to, that wasn't in favor of it, and that was Pete's Famous. They're concerned about their breakfast business, but I told them the reason that we couldn't close it later in the day is because we don't have the police enforcement to make that happen. She will go along with whatever the decision is, but I told her I would share her feelings about it. Northern Dutchess Pharmacy loved the idea. They thought it was great. They didn't see any potential problems with any of their clients. They'd give people a heads up, the week prior to it. It was just, Piper thought it was a great idea, but she didn't want to sign because she's not a storefront. She does have the buildings, but she doesn't actually own a storefront. There are probably 10, 12 businesses that I didn't hear from that aren't on that list who I think would probably say yes, but because they didn't respond, I didn't include them.
And what hours are you proposing?
8 in the morning till 8
to
in the
8?
evening.
How do you suggest we deal with the early morning traffic that's already parked on East Market Street?
Well, my understanding was actually the signs would go up the night before, and there'd be no parking in the morning. I think that was Mr. Dunn's suggestion.
Okay. One thing I've learned as a elected official, as much prior notification as possible. Day before, I don't think is adequate. I think that
Right.
there needs to be an informational process. From the time this decision is made, there needs to be an informational process whereby repeated blasts are in the media and the newspapers.
Yeah, that would absolutely be on Panda. It would be in all of our printed material. I actually already printed up a little sign that we could put in all the hallways for anybody who lives in apartments or have, any of the psychologists or kind of smaller businesses that are upstairs that they're never in their office, so it's hard to get a response from them. But I did create a letter just saying that this would happen on this date, and I thought it would go up 2 weeks prior to the actual date of the event, or a month prior, whatever is decided. But
And as far as the signage, I think the signage should be in place farther out.
farther out on the street. 2 weeks.
Friday is inadequate.
So
Earlier in the week.
a week before,
Well, maybe the Monday before.
the Monday before? Yeah.
And make it clear and evident that you're warning people way in advance. And I think you know as well as I do from experience with the farmer's market that even though you have signs right there in front of somebody, sometimes they still ignore it. And that's something we'll deal with. We just don't want to have to deal with a mass parking problem and a tow removal type situation.
So is it recommended that we say no parking as of midnight on Friday?
No, if it's going to be closed from 8 o'clock, you have to have a sign that says any vehicles that remain there from 8 o'clock, at 8 o'clock in the morning will be towed.
Okay,
I mean, I don't think it's fair to say to people the night before they can't park there.
gotcha. All right, so from 8 o'clock on.
Is this something that we would post, or will that be done by the village?
I believe it would be your responsibility to create whatever signage is necessary.
Does the state, if this is such a long period of time, is the state going to create a detour? Or?
Well, see, that's what, we're not in a position to approve this tonight because I still have to talk with DOT about this because we're talking about closing a state highway for an extended period of time. And my conversation with DOT was that there's other people that need to be talked to other than the people I've talked to. So I have a meeting set up with the people I know on next Tuesday. So we're going to have to schedule an additional meeting for this. And it's, if we want, we can do a special meeting and do it in 2 weeks, something like that.
I have a
Because
question.
A
I wanted-
12-hour time frame is not what we do for parades where we close
Right,
for
yeah.
45 minutes to an hour.
But are we speaking about from the corner of East Market Street to here. That's the part that would be closed from 8 to 8. We wouldn't be closing Mill Street until the time of the parade.
Correct, but we're still closing
Yeah.
a state highway for an extended period
Okay.
of time.
I just
Yeah,
want to
it's
make sure
Route
everybody
308.
understood it wasn't the whole stretch of Eastern Market.
My understanding, before we began this whole process for North Monroe West, is that a village has the right to do this.
Village has the right to do it, but with DOT's approval. You know, what DOT will tell you, you're the governing agency and you're the one that makes the determination, all right? But they have to buy into it. Same thing if somebody wants to put a banner across Route 9. DOT has to approve it, and they'll approve it as long as the municipality's on board with it. So,
Will they hang it?
they won't hang it.
I know. Are there other questions, or?
Well, I have a concern, only because I did volunteer in the parking lot for the Sinterklaas Committee a couple of years. We tried to keep that one end open for people to go into the village. And most of the people that came in were going to the pharmacies to get their prescriptions.
This lot here?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
So are we talking about closing from Center Street down?
That is, I mean, that would be the furthest out that we would be talking about. And when we met with Cynthia Ruiz yesterday from Dutchess County Transportation, she felt that was the safest and the smartest way to go because the firehouse is here and, you know, it makes sure that there isn't things going in and out and on while there's pedestrian traffic as well. And she felt that from her experience was the safest.
Right, but she's not seeing what's going on during the
Okay,
day.
I'm just
Yeah.
from a
Right.
county official, safety,
Right.
transportation, consultant.
And the thing for us too is now we're talking about a totally different dynamic with that parking lot, because part of that parking lot has always been open on Saturdays so that people could park their cars. Now we're talking about eliminating that, plus eliminating the parking on the streets. So then, and that's been my concern from the get-go.
Well, we did
Was
get-
somebody that wants to go to the pharmacy for 10 minutes to pick up a prescription, where are they supposed to park their car? So,
They can park in the parking lot at M&T Bank. We got permission to use and refer that parking lot, and also by the telephone building, that parking lot there, we got permission to use that parking lot. They still would have access to the CVS parking lot from Mill Street.
okay, so just playing devil's advocate again.
Sure.
At 9 o'clock in the morning, all those parking lots are full. A handicapped person needs to come to Northern Dutchess Pharmacy and pick up a prescription. Where are they going? You know, these are the things we have to consider when we say that. I mean, the same thing can happen with municipal lot. That can be full.
Well,
But we're
it's-
talking about taking away every spot of municipal parking all day Saturday.
That's the street.
So,
I would feel
you know,
more
it's a
comfortable.
concern for
Yeah.
us.
If we could maybe start it here at the parking lot, so that people can get into the parking lot.
Well, it can
So
still
it
get
would
it
be
in the
closed
village.
as of like where Roy is.
Yeah, the west end.
Yeah.
The west side.
That's an issue.
I know, you know, and I was involved with this conversation with Cynthia Ruiz yesterday, and she's thinking from the transportation side of it. How are we gonna get the buses in here, get them so that they can make the turnaround and get back to the fairgrounds or whatever, all right? So that's where that conversation was.
Yeah, because when we initially started the conversation, we were talking from the exit of the parking lot, and I was not there yesterday, so
Right.
this is a little bit new to me.
Yeah.
So,
So your point of view is to do it the way we've been doing it, where we close half of that back end of the parking lot, where the farmer's market is, and the other section, keep the front section and the courtyard section open.
That's the concern for us, is
Okay.
if we put barricades here and nobody gets to that parking lot. You know, there's 130 spaces over there total. If we close the back road down, we're losing 30 to 40 of them, all right? And we do that anyway. So now we're gonna say we're gonna take another 80 to 90 away if we close off right here. You know, that's a big impact on the downtown.
I wonder if we shouldn't have a workshop on this.
Well, that's why I said, I think we
Yeah.
need to extend that. What I want to do is have a public hearing on this. I want people to have the ability to come in and voice their concerns. If they choose to show up, fine. If they don't show up, that's okay too. But, I don't think we're prepared to make a decision tonight. There's got to be a lot of careful thought given to this.
Is this time sensitive? I mean,
Well, we're getting close.
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to wait another month. That's why we need to have a special meeting. Yeah.
It would be nice to know by October 1st if we could, but if we can't,
I'm going to suggest that we schedule a meeting for, I already checked the calendar downstairs. This room is available on September 25th. Everybody in agreement?
what night is that?
That's a Tuesday night. 2 weeks from tonight. Lisa, we'll need you to do a public notification for a public hearing, with the subject being the proposal of a request by the Center Clause Committee for the closure of East Market Street on December the 1st, 2012, from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m.
6 o'clock
Yep.
on the 25th?
Or no, let's do it at 7.
Okay,
Give people a chance to get home and eat.
okay.
Okay? All right, thank you. Keep me in the loop. I will call Carolyn tomorrow and try and get a meeting set up with her, and I'll let you know how I make out with that. Okay?
Like, just publicly thank Leila, she went to 58 businesses, personal.
You know, cost of boutiques probably not on that list, I'm sure we caught up with my staff, but we are in support. If we're not, if we're one of the 11 or so that we got.
Okay. We're all set? Sure.
No, you can stay.
And you want approval, you have to stay for the torture.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay, at this time, Laura is here, so I'm going to not make you sit through our torturous meeting either. Laura is the owner of Paws Dog Boutique, and she had made a request to us prior for some assistance as far as the parade that they have, they call the Halloween Parade. And we had discussed it at our last board meeting and didn't feel that we could honor the request, and Laura is here to talk to us this evening. Laura?
Thanks for having us. I just want to say that we very much appreciate it. There's a number of my staff members and event committee members here in support also. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to come back and talk with you. My understanding is that there was some concerns about the event not being a not-for-profit event. And I wanted to come and clear up some of that information and provide you with a little bit more background about exactly what's taking place. We're going into our 4th year of this event, and it's actually a Halloween dog costume parade and festivities is the title. It's a full afternoon of events, including a raffle, an adoption and information fair that takes place in the Montgomery Row parking lot. Piper is kind enough to close that parking lot for us during the day, so we spend the afternoon there and set up a bunch of local adoption agencies and local craftsmen and businesses. And we have a raffle. People are able to walk around and talk with the vendors and meet up with rescued dogs. And then we do the parade. The parade is actually about 30 minutes of the 4-hour day. And then they come back and they're able to go and trick or treat. There's more than 30 local businesses actually involved in this event. And what they do is we gather dog treats. We get donations from national companies. We bring them the treats, and then those businesses pass out those dog treats to the people who are attending the event. So I just wanted to make sure that you know that we don't really consider this a Paws Dog Boutique. We actually consider it a Village of Rhinebeck event because there's more than 35 local businesses involved that day. We're expecting this year more than 200 dogs and more than 300 people. Last year, we got sidelined a little bit. We were derailed by the snowstorm. That big snowstorm that we had last year actually happened on the day of the Halloween event. Despite that, and the fact that we had to reschedule for the rain date last year, we still had more than 100 dogs in attendance and more than 200 people here. We were slated to have a huge crowd last year, so we're expecting to have that huge crowd again this year. So as you can imagine, my number one concern for the day is safety, not only of the dogs, but also of the humans. We have everywhere from toddlers to elderly people who attend the event, including some people with disabilities. So safety has always been my primary concern. In the past, we've crossed actually where the new crosswalks have gone in, and we have always adhered to the traffic guidelines, and we've had some volunteers who have stood near those traffic areas and the road crossings, and we've only allowed parade participants to cross when the light and the little white person has signaled that it's appropriate to do so. What this does is extend the parade. It causes a lot of confusion. So we thought that by providing police assistance for during that 30-minute parade, that it would be safer for everybody, and it would make us, and me in particular, a lot more comfortable. This event draws a tremendous amount of media coverage for the Rhinebeck community. It's a big deal. Our website not only highlights Paws Dog Boutique, but all of the merchants that choose to contribute to this day. There's a lot of people in the community that are in support of this event, get really excited. The cigar shop actually cheers when we come by each year to ask them to give out treats because they so enjoy the day and being a part of it. I just want to make sure, I know that there was some confusion about us asking for road closure. We're not asking for that. We're just asking for the police assistance. I would say a safe bet would be 60 minutes just to make sure that we cover the full amount of time for the parade. And I also want to make sure that I go back and highlight the fact that this is a not-for-profit event. Although Paws is a business in the community, all of the funds raised. In fact, I lose money because we're generous on that day. We actually give money as well. So we don't make anything from this event. All of the money that is raised during this event is used to purchase dog food for local families in need, with the idea that if we're able to provide them with dog food distributed through local shelters and food distribution centers through the Have a Heart Foundation, that they won't have to give up their dog to shelters, which keeps dogs out of shelters and families happy, especially during these tough economic times. Many people have pointed out to us that we should approach you to ask for permission. We chose this year to come for a number of reasons, including the fact that I don't know if everybody realizes that we pay taxes. Even though I'm not a resident of Rhinebeck, my business pays a lot of money in taxes each year, and all I'm asking for is 60 minutes of police coverage for a community-wide endeavor. Sinterklaas is asking for a full day. We're well aware and in support of that event. Farmers Market closes the parking lot. So I think that there is some level of a precedent set, and we're not asking for something that's so widely out of the box. I hope that you would agree with us that the benefits far outweigh the costs. I recognize that there's costs associated with asking for police coverage, but I also know that this event is a huge benefit to the community and that a number of people would appreciate that extra safety measure being in place. So I don't know if you guys have anything that you want to add that I didn't cover, but feel free.
Could you remind us what the route is? And
Sure. I should have covered that, actually. Sorry. We start in the parking lot, Montgomery Row, travel down Garden Street. I do want to make it clear, too, that we've always only used the sidewalks. Okay?
We were confused.
Yes, we always only use the sidewalks, and all the businesses are aware and actually encouraged to come out, and they do come out and cheer on the parade participants. But we go down Garden Street, cross there, head towards Route 9, cross at the Beekman Arms, head down the sidewalk to CVS, cross in front of CVS, head back up towards Route 9, stay on this, this side of Route 9, and head down, near the Rhinebeck Department Store, Workers and Dreamers, go all the way down near Terrapin and the alleyway area of Montgomery Row, cross the street there, head down the sidewalk in the alleyway of Montgomery Row, and finish up in the parking lot.
Laura, you mentioned that you use the sidewalks. You're not asking for a street closure. that you abide by the safety signals, correct?
We do, yep.
Why do you need police?
Well, what I would love for is police to allow us to let the full crowd of the parade to cross at once. What happens is this.
Street closure.
It does require a street closure.
Well,
Okay.
you're stopping traffic from moving on the street
Okay,
to allow this procession of people to go through, so you in effect are closing the street.
okay. Well, if that's not possible, then I guess we would still like to have police presence so that we don't have our volunteers standing out there, handling traffic, and that we have police personnel who are qualified to be doing so, providing us with those safety measures.
See, to me, there's a contradiction here, because the signals are there to allow people to cross the street, and the vehicles need to abide by the vehicle and traffic law. And if somebody breaks the vehicle and traffic law, we have the ability to ticket them,
Sure.
all right? You're not asking us to close the street, yet you want us to have the police stop the traffic so that the people can cross, correct? That's what you're asking for?
Well, that's one area, but the other area is, at the sections where there are no traffic lights. And it's my understanding, and I could be wrong, that traffic is supposed to yield to pedestrians at those crosswalks that are not at traffic lights. So that would mean that an entire parade professional would be crossing the street and traffic would be expected to stop.
How long would it take to cross the street, everybody?
I don't know, what would you guys estimate that? To cross the street, if the entire parade professional crossed at once? 10 minutes? 5 minutes? Between 5 and 10 minutes.
And then the other quandary for us is that, yes, this is, you are donating all the money, and believe me, I had a retail business, Eacon Florist.
Yeah, I know.
All about,
Yep.
if you want to spend some money, buy a business. If you
Yep.
want to lose a lot of money, buy a business.
I'm with
Okay.
you.
All right?
Definitely with you.
Okay? So I'm all over that, and I was besieged with a request for donations and was very generous to the community, et cetera, all right? And I staged events at my flower shop. And it led to a lot of traffic and a lot of cars. But I didn't have the ability to ask the police department. I could ask, but as a village trustee, every time we provide this service, we are expending a taxpayer dollar to aid a private business, which we're not allowed to do. If it's a not-for-profit group, or it's us sponsoring the event, the municipality itself, we're allowed to expend the funds. But for us to say we're going to provide X amount of police officers for X period of time, and we're doing it for Paws Dog Boutique, we can't do that.
Okay, so if that's the loophole and Have a Heart Foundation applies with this information as a not-for-profit organization, what happens?
Definitely changes the parameters, because now you have a 501c or whatever it is coming to us and asking us to help them with a request, and it changes the parameter for us. Because then what we have to consider is it is a not-for-profit organization, and people could argue that Laura's doing a good thing, and I'm on board with that, but it's still advertisement for your business. So the negatives out there can look at us and say, you're taking my tax dollars and you're allowing this person to promote their business. Why am I paying for this? If I choose to support the program, that's my choice. You don't have the right to do that. That's the quandary we face.
Laura, how do you plan cleanup?
How do I plan what?
Cleanup.
Oh, we've never, ever, actually, I sort of pride myself on that, had a complaint about cleanup. I have a huge, very dedicated group of volunteers who kindly spend their day helping us with that. We provide poop bags to all the dog owners and all the goodie bags. We give out 250 goodie bags. Everybody gets a poop bag. We provide extra poop bags that day for dogs, and we've never had a problem with trash. So that's not been an issue. I've asked all the local businesses who've been involved at the end of the event each year if they've had any concerns with that, and never had it, actually. So we've been really lucky.
I'll
in that
give you
regard.
one for instance, and it was something that we helped stage, and that was the half marathon last year. But that's a for-profit company that came to us and said, What do we have to do? What are the steps we have to take? What is it going to cost us to stage our event in your community? And that's how the whole thing was approached, and they paid us and compensated us for the services we had to provide for them.
What are we talking about for, I mean, what's the price that we're talking about for police presence?
How long do you say you need police? for?
60 minutes.
One person, two people, three?
I mean, we can't right now say X amount of dollars simply because it would depend upon the schedule, it would depend upon who the officer is that's on, depend upon how much he gets paid per hour, those types of things. We can't give you a hard number.
Are we talking
I can't,
thousands,
no.
hundreds?
The guy behind you is the one that has to figure that.
Okay.
Pete Dunn, Rhinebeck PD. When you're talking about scheduling, what comes into mind is if you're just using the officer that's on duty, and he's not tied up on a complaint, it could possibly help out. But if you're asking about bringing an officer in for a detail like that, it's not scheduled, it's extra work, they get a minimum of 5 hours. It's a 5 hour, because officers, depending on what's going on, contractually wise, get 5 hours.
We have a collective bargaining unit.
A unit, they're unionized.
In their contract, it says that if they come into work, they get paid for a minimum of 5 hours.
Can we ask what a 5-hour commitment is?
And it depends on the officer, because there's different pay levels for the officers, so I don't have that
Seniority.
breakdown by seniority. So everybody gets paid a little differently. But they would get a minimum of 5 hours. And if you need 2 officers, you're talking a minimum of 10 hours times, a rate. So until I sit, I can sit down and calculate and give it to you, I just can't give it to you right now.
Probably
To be
average,
honest, I'm not sure.
Maybe follow up.
Yeah.
We'll follow.
probably average, I would say off the top of my head, $25 an hour.
Okay, that's kind of what I
You know?
figured, so.
Somewhere in that range. So contractually wise, that's what you have to, again, if it's the officer that's on duty, he's not tied up, and he can assist with traffic for a few minutes, that's one thing. If, you need multiple intersections covered or crosswalks, you maybe need more than 2 officers.
If your parade route is that long that you have multiple crossing locations going at the same time, you're going to need more than 1 officer.
Right.
If it's an officer that's scheduled for regular duty and he's the only one, if he gets a call, he's leaving your parade. He's gone.
So, just to be clear, it's the kind of thing where if we reworked it and came up with a 501c3 who was willing to put a petition in front of you guys, or if we came to you and said, hey, this is our deal, what do we need to do the same way as you said the marathon sort of approach you? Is that, are those 2 angles where we might be able to come back and reconvene?
That's correct.
Okay.
But, again, this has to be well thought out and well planned.
Sure,
you know?
absolutely.
And in order for us to endorse something, we want to make sure all the bases are covered.
I got
You
it,
know?
yeah. And that's fair enough, yeah.
I mean, if I'm a little concerned about each street being blocked off for 10 minutes at a time, at a segment, and then you guys regather, and then you cross another street, and that's kind of interrupted for 10, what do you think about that?
10 minutes, it's really if the group stays together, and it depends on the day. Is it raining, the weather, it depends. I don't foresee it being a large problem. I don't know if that day there's an event scheduled at the fairgrounds. I'd have to look at this fairground schedule. That sometimes plays into anything going on in the village. I don't have that with me, I have it at the station. But if they have some type of an event, that's going to hurt traffic flow, obviously. So I'd have to look at that also. But for 10 minutes, it's really not that bad. It could be done with several
Just
officers.
refresh my memory, how many participants in the actual parade?
We've had everywhere, I'm expecting 300 this year.
So that's a pretty lengthy parade route,
Yeah.
It's going to stretch out for quite a while. So there's going to be multiple street crossings going on at any given
Right,
time.
and this is the parade route that we followed since the event began.
But it's grown,
But it's grown.
Yeah. Which is natural.
Yeah, okay, 2 questions for you. What happens if for example, one of my committee members, her husband is a cop, not a Rhinebeck cop. But, I'll volunteer my time. What happens if there are
He's
cops
a
on the force?
he's a volunteer, he doesn't work for us. We assume
What
all,
happens if there's Rhinebeck cops who say, is that ever done?
Well,
Where
in the
cops
community,
say,
let me just say one thing. The village is accepting all responsibility for this, so the village is going to want control. We're not going to say, we're going to let volunteers do this.
And a state
At
roadway.
least I won't.
Right.
I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but I'm not going to put a volunteer in a capacity where they're representing the village because we're the ones that get sued, you know, so we want to make sure that we have our people on board doing it.
And on a state roadway, it should be a police officer, you know, or, you know, the firemen have certain people that direct traffic. It should be somebody within a municipality, you know, police or fire.
Right, but, I mean, do people within the municipality ever volunteer their services, or you're saying they're not allowed? I mean, if they've got the skill set and they're trained to do it, and they're saying, okay, I'm in support of this event, I'll donate an hour of my time on a Saturday even though I'm not working.
I mean, yeah, they could volunteer, but on a state roadway like you're talking about, Route 308 and Route 9, I wouldn't suggest volunteers, you know, being out on a state roadway trying to direct traffic or hold traffic back. It should be either a fireman, police, or DPW, you know, with the proper vest on, the truck. The volunteer firemen do have fire police, but then again, you're going back to the village, you're back, you know, there's
Yeah, I'm
still volunteer
speaking for
firemen in
myself.
the village of Rhinebeck.
If the village is going to endorse this, the village is going to have the control. And it's not going to be done by a bunch of volunteers that we have not worked with and trained, et cetera, et cetera.
I have a question. This is a great event, and it definitely brings business into the business community, and they're very organized. It's the most organized group I've ever come across. Is the question...
You're supposed to say Santa Claus is.
He's still and we're going to. But is the question that because of them crossing, is that the main question? Is it a safety issue?
Well, we had originally hoped for road closure, knowing that there was a lot of obstacles. That's what we had hoped for. That's what we would love, is that we could grow to a point where we would have road closure. Even if it was just from the new market restaurant down to CVS, you know, and the road closed for that 30 minutes, and we were able to parade down the street, and, you know, people could watch on the sidewalks.
So the difference between them and the children's Halloween, for
That
instance, the
was my
children
next
is a
question.
not-for-profit.
Exactly.
Because they actually now have more people at this event than they do at the
Because that was
children's
going to be
Halloween
my
parade.
next question, is what's happening with that event, because I've never been at it.
Yeah.
But I understand that there's road closure issues with that, but there are things that happen to accommodate that parade, and wondering why it can't happen for hours.
Yeah. But there's no private business making the request. That's the main difference between the two events. Okay?
So if they go in under a non-for-profit heading.
You know, and again, I've said this before, that, you know, we're very lucky in Rhinebeck. We have a very unique problem here that a lot of communities don't have, is that everybody wants to be here. All right? And as a village board, what we try and do is we try and strike a balance. And what we have to do is consider what are the impacts when we make these decisions. And now we're going to make a decision perhaps to add this event, and then maybe in a few months we get a request for another event, and another event, and another event, and the next thing you know, we're closing our roads down all the time. People want to come here. If the roads are closed all the time, they're not going to want to come here. If people can't get around, they're going to say, don't go to Rhinebeck. You can't get anywhere. The roads are always closed. So that's something we have to consider, and I know some could say, well, maybe he's being a pessimist or something like that, but that's something we have to consider. And we're very sensitive to trying to keep a balance. Make sure it's a desirable location. You know, we've been given a gift. Let's preserve that. Let's make sure people still want to come here. And there's a lot of things to consider in order to make all of that happen. You know, it's not easy sitting down and planning these things. Leila knows, you know, I know, Pete Dunn knows, this board knows. You know, there's a lot of things go into making them happen and making them happen the right way and successfully. You know, and this board took a lot of flack because of the events code last year, you know? And everybody thought we're trying to handicap and hurt this community and the business people. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to preserve what we have here, you know? It's our planning and zoning boards over the years have done a fantastic job. Look how beautiful this community looks. Everybody wants to put a billboard sign out on the sidewalk, and everybody wants to put big neon signs in their windows. What's Rhinebeck going to look like if all that happens, you know? That's not what we want. I don't think that's anybody's vision for how they want Rhinebeck to be. You know, and I always said it, you know, when I was in my own business and I was heavily involved in the Chamber of Commerce. You are your business. Get out there and promote yourself. Get out there and promote your business. Don't rely upon a sign to do it for you, you know? And we have to be very, very careful so that this place remains as unique and as special as it is, you know? And we try to give a lot of thought to that, you know? I love dogs, you know? If I didn't work 14, 16 hours a day, I'd probably have 3 or 4 of them, you know? My son's here tonight, he's got a dog. I call his dog my granddogger, you know? I absolutely love the dog, you know? I'm never home, so I can't have one. And it's not that we're opposed to dogs, it's not that we're opposed to your event, you know? It's just we have to be very careful how we approach it, and the expenditure of taxpayer dollars is a big part of that, but also, how do we manage it?
So, at this point, we've got some timing issues. I'm not sure when your October meeting is, if we were to come back. On
Second Tuesday in October is our next meeting.
Have a heart. Does that allow, should we not do that for this year, given that the event is October 27th, or?
Your short window, I think we may be better off looking at the possibility of what it would cost to have the police coverage necessary to stage your event. And then you would need to make a decision on whether you can still go ahead and do it that way. And if not, you know, maybe it needs to be addressed to stage the event a different way, in a different location. Still have a parade, but not have to cross all of these streets and have it happen simultaneously.
I mean, it's possible, what if you went straight down Livingston? I know you wouldn't get all the commercial exposure but,
Down residential street?
yeah, for a half hour? I mean, you don't want to do that? I mean, I'm just asking.
Well, it defeats the purpose. I mean,
Okay.
The event has always been two-pronged. It's a for-profit event, and it showcases what Rhinebeck has to offer. It brings
Okay.
crowds of people from as far as Philadelphia, New York City, Connecticut, New Jersey, who maybe haven't been to Rhinebeck before, and are in these shops and walking around and seeing what we're about, everything you're trying to preserve. And so I can appreciate the suggestion, but
I wasn't suggesting, I was just throwing it out there for discussion.
thank you.
Okay?
Uh-huh. You guys have anything? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming in. And we're sorry for the confusion that you didn't realize you could have done this the last time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that it was
Yeah.
going to come and be discussed anymore, otherwise we'd definitely been here, so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, you know, with these types of things, it always has to have full village board approval. Be discussed at a public meeting and voted on. Okay. We are on to department reports, correct? We don't have any other members of the public here to address us tonight. Okay, wastewater department, Brant?
Okay, we are hoping the new temporary person, Ed Herwood, will be able to start this week. He's temporarily replacing Don Hackett, who's out indefinitely for health reasons. As far as the sludge press replacement is concerned, we've submitted a final draft of the plans to the DEC, and they've looked at it and not scrutinized it. You know, they're scrutinizing it, but they aren't real critical of it. So it's a like-in-kind replacement, and we're hopeful that we can get that approved in a short period of time. Another issue, or another item, is that we replaced a influent pump. That's part of our capital expenditure program. We're replacing one pump a year over 4 years, so we have one left to replace. So I do have to open the chemical and sludge bids. We do this every year, so I'm just going to open these up and read them. This is the
It's one of the most exciting times
exciting
of the
parts
year.
of the year.
Brant's been waiting a long time for this.
All right. General chemical, no bid. The This is ESC Environmental for the ferric chloride, 55-gallon, 650-pound drums, .18 cents a pound, or $117 a drum. For hydrated lime, a 50-pound bag is $6.98 a bag, or 13.9 cents a pound. For sodium hypochlorite, 55-gallon drums, $1.55 a gallon. And the drum deposit is a 55-gallon drum, $35 per drum. So we have to do all these conversions. I'll do that with Anthony. So the approval would be subject to us going over this stuff together.
Approval will be subject to approval.
Yeah. Surpass Chemical,
You've gotten a lot more bids this year than you have in the past, isn't it?
that's great.
Yeah.
Pricing, sodium hypochlorite in 5-gallon containers, $1.45 per gallon. We require a minimum of one, and that's not a problem. There's a refundable $8 deposit on each container and a $10 deposit per pallet. Ferric chloride solution in 600-pound drum, $108 per drum. We require a minimum, okay. There's a refundable $54 deposit on each drum and $10 deposit per pallet. Hydrated lime in 50-pound bags, $8.39 per bag. Okay. Coin Chemical. Ferric chloride, 55-gallon drums, $2.20 a gallon, 12 drums of delivery. Okay. Hydrated lime, 50-pound bags, 84,000 pounds a year, 16.66 cents a pound. Sodium hypochlorite, no bid at all. Okay. Chimera Water Solutions, no bid. Main Pool, this is who we have currently. Sentimental favorite. Shouldn't say that. Approximately 8,300 gallons of ferric chloride solution in 650/55-gallon drums, $2.22 a gallon. Approximately 84,000 50-pound bags of lime hydrated, $6.75 per bag, and sodium hypochlorite, $1.60 per gallon. Okay. So again, we'll go over these to find out who the lowest qualified bidder is. So for the sludge hauling, sludge removal, Royal Carting, Royal Carting proposes to provide sludge cake disposal for the village of Rhinebeck at the rate of $139.65 per ton. Residuals Management Services LC, $135 per ton.
Same as the other one?
Yeah, is that what I said? Yeah. Well, they were $139.65, so that's close. Veolia. $123.75 per ton. This is who we have now. They have a different way of disposing of it. They incinerate it. And then SpectraServe. $143 per ton, sludge cake disposal. So, that's it.
Okay, so you'll come back next meeting then with recommendations, Grant?
Yeah, unless we, in the past.
We do a special meeting.
I don't know if we have. I think we've approved it, subject to,
You should really
Anthony's.
go through the bids and have them calculated out and get a recommendation from Anthony.
Is that how we did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, we'll
you guys
Anthony and I will come
you guys
back with
do
a.
the review and then you come
Yeah,
back
we'll do a
with a
recommendation, yeah, okay.
Okay. Anything else on wastewater?
That's it for wastewater.
Okay. Water Department. Mr. Sauer.
Yes, sir. The total water treated this month was 15,423,000 gallons. We replaced two 4-inch valves, both on South Parsonage Street, one at Knollwood and one at Mill Street. They broke off while we were working on fixing one valve, the other valve broke off. There also was a problem with the transmission valve blow-off at the Astor Home line, and that was completed. I have a couple of items here that I'd like to talk to you about. Number one, I received an email from Mr. Arndt. I don't know if he's here tonight, that he wants to, he apparently moved here a couple of 6 months ago, or
In March.
in March. And he has an existing well, is that correct, in his place, and he wants to plumb it up to, for watering his lawn, I assume, and other trees and so on. And he's looking for permission to install a pump and some distribution system to distribute the water on his line. He lives in the town of Rhinebeck, and so apparently this well was there for quite a while. Is this a drilled well, or is this a?
I couldn't tell you.
Is it a duck well? Is it a duck? It's not.
It's a dug well.
It's a dug well.
It's a very old house. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the original property.
And Mr. Arndt has two lines coming in, potable water lines coming into his compound now. I guess you have a house and
It's a house and a guest house.
and a guest house in there. So he's looking for permission to install a pump and distribution system. And I assume it is just for watering plants. And is there some guarantee that we not interconnect with the potable water? Is there some way to, is
I
this?
don't know what I need to provide to guarantee it to the village.
Well, at one point, maybe we would want to take a look.
Does it need to be inspected?
Inspected, yeah.
I think the proper process here would be, I see our village attorney looking at the code, so he'll address the code side of it.
It's to the approval of the village board. I mean, you have the right to grant it and put whatever conditions on it, so I would assume an inspection by the water department, obviously to ensure there's no cross-contamination, that's the issue.
All right, Heinz and I discussed this prior, and I think my feeling was, as long as the village attorney would say that the village board had the right to do it, would be that we would structure an agreement that would allow for you to implement the system for the irrigation purposes you're suggesting, with a covenant in there that you would guarantee you would not in the future tie this into the system in any way. Any thoughts from you guys?
No, I agree.
Yeah, I
So-
agree.
So you're saying Tom Wallbank would go down and inspect and make sure?
Yeah.
Tom Wallbank's the head of the water department. Okay.
You have that authority under, it's 115.5F.
Okay.
Do we have another request for this month? Or is this the same one? We had the letter.
No, this is it. This is the only one. Okay. Do you have to make a motion?
Any advice as far as structuring an agreement?
Well, it's basically on the resolution of the board, and I would say that it's, as long as the village has the right to go in and inspect it, so that the water department can ensure that this is never connected to the water system, that should be sufficient. Because that's the only concern in the code, is that you don't mix the two sources of water.
Correct.
So could we inspect it at any time, or should it be a yearly inspection, or?
Whatever the board determines is reasonable. I mean, once you put the system together, I would assume it's going to take.
2 o'clock in the morning on the third
No,
Thursday
no,
of the month.
No surprise visits, but I don't know if you need a yearly inspection.
And I'm sure that the water department knows how many gallons are normal rate of consumption. If all
Well,
of a sudden
that is
the
one,
consumption
yeah, that is
disappears.
one thing I looked at, and the consumption is very, very low. It's, I think, a couple of thousand gallons.
So it's not like he's trying to beat us on his water bill.
And he has two lines going in there. I guess one of them is for the guest house.
One is for the guest house, and the main house, correct. And we have quite a lot of planting and a very large lawn, and I'm not going to install a elaborate sprinkler system, but it would be nice to not have to pay for water that is in the ground already.
Have you considered AstroTurf?
Just the thought. And quite honestly, I'm not sure, I have to have a qualified contractor come out and make sure that well is, I mean, I can see water down there, so I'm assuming it's completely achievable. So I just need permission from the village to go ahead and hire a contractor to go ahead and install the pumping system and some distribution, some minor distribution, spigots and so on around the property.
I would think the board could do it just on a resolution that authorizing that, and that the installation be inspected by the water department. So,
And there'd be a guarantee of no connection to the village system.
which is in your code, and on the, when they sign in for obtaining water from the village, they agree to abide by the regulations of the village code.
So I make a motion to grant a request for installing a non-potable water system in Mr. Arndt's residence with the proviso that the village can inspect it
On his property.
on his property at the time of completion, and also that we have a guarantee that it will not be intermixed with our potable water that we get from our town.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else I need to do prior to hiring?
You have to wait for the letter to get there.
Do I need to apply for anything or?
Lisa will be sending you a letter
Okay.
with, you know, the agreement. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Second item I want to talk to the board about is the water plant security. I have asked Tom Wallbank to execute an idea that we had already was generated by Wayne before to put a security system with motion detectors and door safety security to have that installed, and apparently the cost of that was quoted as about $2,700. When we went to the person today, he wanted to know if that is going to be has to be on prevailing wages, and I just was informed by the attorney here that everything we do has to be by prevailing wages, so I will tell them tomorrow, so the cost may go up somewhat. I don't expect it to go up a lot because it is all parts and just the installation of it, so, but I'll get back with you, but we're going to do that. The second thing I wanted to talk to you is I wanted to put some signs up on the front of the property, and there is no sign right now, except there is a little wooden fence which is not even on the village property, and probably on a railroad property, and it has one of these little yellow signs on there, no trespassing. And what I'm proposing tonight here is to put a sign up that looks not black and white, but I just did this at home here, but it looks somewhat like this here, maybe truncated here and here. And I have two of them. One of them reads Village of Rhinebeck Water Plant, no authorized access, no unauthorized access. And the other one says Village of Rhinebeck Water Plant, unauthorized access is prohibited. I don't think these signs are going to cost a lot of money. I'm going to probably have them done up in Red Hook. There's a sign shop over here, and
I would change that.
yes, too.
Yeah, I would say Rhinebeck Village Board.
Oh, Rhinebeck
Because,
Village Board.
Yeah, it's not my order, it's the board's order.
Well, okay, yeah. And,
Just one quick question.
Yes.
Have you had any discussions with the town planning and zoning office as far as
No, I have
signs?
not.
We probably
I have
should do that,
Okay,
courtesy.
okay,
I'm sure they're not going to have an issue with it. but
Yeah,
We
yeah.
better do that just in case.
yeah, okay. And I want to put that sign would probably be about, say, 2 feet by 2 feet, roughly speaking, probably higher than wider because of for stability reasons and so on. And I want to do that fairly quickly, so, but I will get with them. I think should talk to Terry here about this.
We know you have to go to the town.
We'll have to go to the town.
Yeah, because that's
Even
town.
though it's on village property.
It's village property, but it's within the town, right?
Rhinebeck, okay.
So it doesn't fall under the village zoning law, it falls under
Yeah,
the
yeah,
town
yeah,
zoning law.
yeah. Thank you. The next item, also about security, has to do with putting a fence up, a partial fence up. And I had looked at this to access, partial access, and I found that the pump house, and there's a shallow well attached to the pump house, apparently does not lie within the village property in the town of Rhinebeck. It seems to be just outside of it, so what I would like...
You can't go by parcel access.
Well, I know, and but I still wanted to bring up the point. I looked at deeds, and it's very hard for me to read. I don't understand. Are you, will the attorney take a look at this and make sure that we don't have an issue here?
As long as we ask him to, he will.
Okay, because what I would like to do is, like to put a fence that goes somewhere from the lagoon over here and encapsulates the pump house as well. But if we can't do that, then I will make a very short one that goes right across the roadway over here. We had in the past issues with people coming in there, and either on weekends or at night with trucks, and they found numerous times truck trails on there and so on. So
We're probably gonna need a survey, that's the thing, like, we don't have a survey,
I have not seen a survey, no.
because I don't think Rich is just gonna be able to read a legal description.
Yeah, I can't tell you by reading a legal description whether or not a particular building is within the bounds of the property.
Maybe worth reaching out to the railroad and seeing if there's anything they have on file as far as the survey.
They may also have no objection if you simply fence in your pump house.
Yeah. Right now they have, there's a wooden rail fence going way outside of it, sort of pointing towards the pump house, but, so how do we proceed here?
Well, I think that the mayor is right. If we're bordering the railroad property, we can contact the railroad and simply advise them that we intend to
Put a fence there.
fence our own building in, which I assume is what you're looking at. If they have no objection to it, then we'll assume we're within the bounds of our property.
I guess that's CS6, is that it?
I can't say, I'd have to look at the,
I mean, the Metro North goes by there.
Yeah, if you put that parcel number in, it'll tell you who the owner of the record is.
No, there's no number there.
It's not up in here
It's
somewhere?
not in there, I looked anywhere, on the whole length of it,
Give
why
it to
don't
him.
I talk to you about it later?
Okay.
Can of worms.
So once we know what the boundaries are, I will get back with you to discuss on how, how big of a job that is going to be, and want to go out for a bid on this. 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, So we had talked during our deliberations, budget deliberations, to have a periodic replacement plan for hydrants. Some of the hydrants that we have here are, I would say, close to 100 years old. One of them or two of them just broke off recently. The ones I have seen, they look like they are at least 70, 80 years old, and they don't make them anymore the way they used to do it. So what I had discussed with Tom Wallbank, our chief operator, water plant operator, is to have a replacement plan that takes the 10 most vulnerable ones and replace them five of the year. The cost of that is about $6,000 each, and that includes the valve, the shut-off valve for the hydrant in front of it. The hydrants that we want to replace don't have any shut-off valves, most of them. And there is a potential problem that when we shut off the water main that feeds these, that the valves break off, and it has happened on Knollwood on 2 occasions. And so the first ones I would like to replace are the ones that where we just in the last week or two have replaced the valves, and these particular hydrants are fed by these valves. They're not the very oldest one, but they're pretty old. So I'd like to do that. I'd like to get the board's permission to do that. It costs about $6,000 each, and I'm not sure whether I have to go out for a bid, doing one at a time. You can probably just
Well, if you've got, is this going to be done by our personnel?
No, it's going to be done by an outside contractor.
All right. So
But it's a contractor that has been doing this kind of emergency work for many years. I think his name is
Right, but now you're
They come in and do emergency repairs, but this is an
Yeah.
actual.
This is an
Right, now
actual
you're
maintenance
planning a
repair.
contract of 6 of them, which may total over the bidding amounts, and you may have to bid it.
Yeah, because my next question was that I was going to do 8 next year, because we wanted to do 5 a year. We haven't done any yet so far, and so maybe that's the way to do, is to go for 10. And
Well, the question is, we budgeted for all of this work
Yeah,
already,
yeah,
so the
yeah.
the funds are there.
Funds are there,
So we're probably better off trying to lump it into one job
One
and
job.
get the best price we possibly can.
right. Altogether, we have 30 of them, but I think that there's 10 of them, 12 of them that are really
And then-
really old, need to be done.
The good part about that is, when you do it that way, is now you're going out to competitive bids,
Bids,
so,
and you get a better price.
yeah, we get a better price. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna do 10.
Well, we're
And
going to do 2 this year, because, and one of the
You
reasons.
still wanna do 2 this year?
Yeah, I want to get going on this.
Yeah, I
okay?
know.
The reason I think we can do only 10 is because we have that South Pleasant Street crossover coming up.
The water main.
The water main. We have a problem with flushing the hydrants in October, so there is a small window. And, when I talked to Tom, that's about all we can do this year. But starting next April, we can do more.
All right, so it's 6,000 apiece,
Please.
doing 2 of
2 of
them.
them.
We don't have to go out to bid,
No,
correct?
That's under the
We can just
the
get
bidding
the-
requirements.
Under the
But you have to do
procurement
like a
policy.
procurement policy.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
We're
But
still
then-
supposed to get 3 bids though under.
Well, not bids, 3 estimates, 3 written estimates.
Yeah, not,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like.
Three
bid-
bids.
We're not
bid
going
bids.
out to bid.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just getting 3 prices, yeah,
Okay.
right.
So for the 2, we need 2 estimates, and then
Three.
3 estimates, yeah.
Should attempt to get 3 good faith estimates.
For the
Right.
2
Two
hydrants.
hydrants,
we
yeah.
need 2 bids, right, 2
Yeah.
estimates. And then you're
And
going to
again,
Yeah,
and I'll get into it later when it comes to some sidewalk repairs, is you contact 3 people. You don't necessarily have to have 3 in your hand,
okay.
you know?
Next item is, just want to give you an update on the South Parsonage trunk line relocation. We had a pre-bid site meeting on the 6th of September. There were a few items to be addended to that, and Nancy is working on that. We're expecting the bids to return on 9/20 and probably go out, depending on what the bids look like, sometime in the early part of October to get that implemented.
Did she call you today at all?
She did not call me today, but I have a bunch of items to discuss with her. One of them had to do with the Route 9 Astor Home shut-off valves. There's two sets of shut-off valves, one of them close to the Astor Home, and then there's another one on the other side in front of the, what is it called, not that Legion, well, on the east side of Route 9. And the ones on the east side of Route 9 are directly connected to the water line, the 4-inch line that comes up, while the ones at Astor, if you shut them off, you still have a hot line, so to speak, going under Route 9. And if they don't use that particular line, then if something happens, then we're in trouble. Okay, so we want to shut off the water, close to the source, which is on the east side of Route 9. That was apparently discussed when the application was made with the Astor Home, and I had talked to Nancy about it this morning, and she said she thought that was in the plan, and she was going to get back with me. The other item had to do with with Brand's piece up on the Springbrook, where they wanted us to relay a water line, and why would we want to replace water line if they want to put a sewer line in there and so on? But this has been.
That's a preliminary discussion.
So that was the only discussions I had with her. The other thing I wanted to tell you here is that I'm working with Tom Wallbank for the last 2 or 3 months now to put this set of engineering drawings together that show both the water lines, the size of the water lines in different colors, the valves associated with the water lines, not the ones necessarily going to the hydrants, and then the hydrants. And then we will want to put an inventory together for all the valves and number them on these drawings, and then put a history together with these valves and the hydrants as we replace them or as they have replaced. Apparently Tom has a stack of papers that need to be systemized into some way, so we're working on that. And I think that's about it for today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, fire department. Fire department had a total of 76 calls in the month of August. 35 were in the town, 41 were in the village. Year to date, we have a total of 607 calls for the year, 283 in the town and 324 in the village. Of the ones last month, we had 17 EMS in the town, 27 in the village, 14 fire in the town, 11 in the village, and 4 motor vehicle accidents in the town, 3 in the village. I am going to attempt tomorrow to set up a meeting with Rick Dorr, the chief. Now that I am the new liaison to the fire department, I think it's important that I sit down with him and just reassure him that nothing's going to change now that Wayne's not there. And need to get going on we had last month talked about this health insurance plan that the volunteer firefighters could participate in on the village plan, so I need to get the conversations going on that. That's about it. Any questions?
I have one more thing on the water plant. I also sat down on Monday with all the people from the water plant, introduced myself, and talked to them about the importance of water for the village and other things, and what we want to do.
They realize the importance, don't they?
and the kind of thing that we want to do in the next year or so.
Yeah. And that's a key, I think. One of the things that we have going for us is that all the liaisons work very closely with their department heads, and it establishes a good rapport, and everybody works well together that way. So that will continue. All right, street department, Howie?
Okay, I have Mike's Highway Department report here. on August 30th, Pierce Eagle Equipment, they're from New Jersey. They came to us with a camera to do a demonstration inside some of our storm drains on Route 9. This is the company that last month we rented a jet vac truck from to try to clean out some of our storm drains, and they also sell this camera that you can put into the storm drain and videotape what's going on down there. What we found was that there was, and let me tell you where this happened. This happened on Route 9 from the Village Green toward West Chestnut, towards Ruby's. The line we wanted to camera was 600 feet long, but we were only able to do 200 feet due to time constraints. And this was done as a demo, as I said, free from this company. They're trying to sell the camera, so we had town of Red Hook here, Village of Rhinebeck, and obviously, and then the town of Rhinebeck also was here to look at what this camera can do. And what we found was that the tree roots are growing into these pipes through the joints. And they sent us the DVD. Jim has the DVD.
Anybody wants to watch the storm drain movie, come down to my office.
It's very scary.
Showing.
It's very scary. There's these tree roots growing into the side. Yeah. And this is possibly causing the flooding problems we have on West Chestnut Street due to these tree roots growing in and probably catching all kinds of stuff. We actually saw a strap in there and a few other things.
We pulled about a 5-gallon bucket worth of debris out of it up there.
Right. So our plan is to, we're going to hire this jet vac truck again next month. And what we can do is we'd have to purchase a warthog, it's called. It's a nozzle that goes on the end of this line that we put in with the jet vac truck, and it sprays out water and it cuts the roots. It does not harm the pipe. It cuts the roots into little pieces which can wash away. So with the board's approval, the cost of this warthog is $1,958. The company does not rent this warthog. We'd have to buy it, but we do have to put it on the truck. We do have to. We're planning on renting the truck anyway.
So the only place that Warthog works is on their truck?
No, Mike looked into other trucks, and they're all the same price, basically,
No.
to
I
rent.
mean, do we have to always hire somebody's truck to use that Warthog?
Yes.
Yes. We need to have the truck in order for the warthog to work.
The jet, it works on the end of the jet vac
Yeah, okay.
system.
Now, is the town, would they have any need for that?
We can ask them.
Yeah, and
I
also,
would, the only thing I would say, and it's a question worth asking, definitely, but
Yeah.
the town doesn't have storm drain maintenance like we do. You know, most of their stuff is culvert maintenance.
yeah, I saw them doing.
You know, that's just a matter of flushing.
Except maybe for the village of Rhinebeck.
So,
Because she asked me when I was doing the mapping, said, how did you do this? You know, how did you map them? So I thought maybe she has similar problems. The other person is, I know that the highway superintendent up in Red Hook. Would they be interested in maybe, but I guess if we buy it, we need it here, right?
Yeah.
well, it's also something that we might be able to work out an agreement with, you know, sharing a service in another way,
Yeah.
you know. You know,
We can certainly approach
So
them.
Yeah, Teresa.
when I look at it, I say, all right, we have to have the truck come anyway.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is why the company
Doesn't
doesn't
do it.
charge to do this,
Yeah, or
provide this
why
service.
we can rent it.
Why don't they have the piece of equipment? But the point being, it's $1,958, and if this can make our problem go away as far as this problem we're having on Route 9 and on West Market Street, it's money well spent.
Absolutely.
And it's quite obvious when Howie and I watched this video that there's significant tree roots growing into the joints of these pipes.
No, I have
It
no
definitely
problems
will
with,
help.
I have no problems with doing this here. The only thing is with.
Howie said he'll pay for it, too.
Yeah, to the highway department budget.
No, the only.
It's not gonna snow this year, we're gonna save a lot of money.
The only question I have is, you know, these roots keep on growing. They keep growing and so on. And my question, I guess, to Howie was, what, are these is this a particular tree? Is it endemic to the whole system? Is it maybe just one maple tree on Route 9? I guess it's on the west side of Route 9.
Yeah, it's the west side, yeah.
If the pipes are the old tile pipes with mortar joints
Yeah.
and they're adjacent to tree roots, we're gonna have this problem.
But if the tree
That's
is dead,
basically it.
if the tree is dead, you won't have that problem.
Right.
What are you suggesting,
But
Mr.
there's about 15 trees along Route 9.
By the way, my question was, is it one particular tree or is it?
No, no, no.
It's systemic.
There's several
Systemic.
locations, some being more tree roots than others, but.
You're welcome to
You
look
haven't
at
seen
the
the
video.
DVD yet?
No, I was gonna,
Come in the-
I
come in
was
the-
supposed to get it and I.
Come in the office when we leave tonight, I'll give it to you, you can take it home and watch it.
So,
Oh, it's good, it's great entertainment.
Exciting night watching.
Did Mike look into this pipeline
Nothing like a
idea?
good storm drain.
yeah, well, the other thing I was gonna say, we could also line the pipes. I don't know if it's steel, I don't know if it's what they use, but there's some kind of a pipe liner you can put into these
I
pipes.
think it's some kind of plastic or rubber that you just,
But it's the whole pipe that you
Well-
have to line down.
Well, yeah, the idea is you cut the roots and then you put this pipe liner in, but Mike got a preliminary estimate on 600 feet. It's about $70,000 to line a pipe.
And,
Oh, no,
you
we
know, the
don't
thing
wanna
is,
do
if
that.
we have this piece of equipment, we're gonna be able to go back, rent the truck to come and go back and
Yeah.
do the maintenance on a regular
Yeah.
basis, which is, that's why we have the problem, because there was never a regular maintenance plan.
Right.
I assume that we did not see any kind of breakage of the tiles in there.
No, we didn't.
Did they?
Not in the
Not
the
in the
footage that we
section.
have,
Right,
yeah.
right.
not in the footage that we
It
have.
goes 234 feet, but we didn't go beyond that because the gentleman that was doing the demonstration was from Florida, and he had to catch a plane to go back to Florida. He couldn't hang around.
So just for devil's advocate, supposing there is a breakage beyond
Yeah,
the
it could be.
234 feet that you were going in there, how's that warthog gonna handle that if there's stone in there?
It's not.
It's not.
We're gonna have to
It's
take
gonna
it up
kill
and fix
It's
it.
gonna kill it? Well,
Well,
we
no.
don't know.
It's high-pressure water is gonna cut these tree roots off,
Oh, okay.
is how it works.
But there's
Right.
something that drives it, right?
Yeah, well, it
Oh, it's the
travels
water,
down the
I'm
pipe.
sorry, it's the water that cuts it
Yeah,
off. It's not the
it travels down
mechanical
the pipe,
blade
and
or something.
it's high-pressure water that
Okay.
cuts these tree roots off.
Yeah.
And if there is a break in the pipe and it's collapsed or whatever, then we're gonna have to dig it up and fix it.
Fix it.
It's not gonna remedy that situation.
So we're gonna do the Market Street and the Route 9?
Yes.
With the warthog?
Yes.
Market Street?
West
Well,
Market Street.
West Market
By,
Street.
yeah, by the local.
All right,
Well,
make a
that
motion.
is
What's,
a.
Okay,
I have one
I-
more question. How can we do the whole 600 feet stretch with the warthog?
How can we?
Can we?
Yeah, we can, because we can
Yeah.
go from both sides.
Yeah, okay.
You go from manhole to manhole.
Yeah.
The jetback truck goes 500 feet, so we go from one side.
Okay, so you can go 1,000
Yeah,
feet.
we'll be able to
Okay.
get the
But
whole
West
length.
Market Street is longer than 600 feet. I think, it's quite a bit long, I think it's like 700 or 800 feet,
We can come from both ends, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one end is all collapsed and it's on somebody's property,
That's a whole nother story. We don't
Another
know,
story.
we don't know.
Yeah.
so you won't be able, the point is
Yeah,
you won't
okay.
be able to get in there.
Well, the thing is, if
Yeah.
we can get in with this warthog from the Route 308, and if, do it and
Right.
eliminate a problem,
Problem.
we don't know.
Part of it, yeah.
All right? But if it does eliminate the problem, then we don't have to go on, try to work out an agreement to go on the property.
Right. 600 feet is it, huh?
Make motion.
I make a motion, we purchase this Warthog for $1,958.
I second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted.
Okay, let me finish Mike's report. Brush is still being placed on or near catch basins. Now, this is another problem with keeping our water lines clear. As Mike goes around the village, he sees people putting out the brush, and it's close to the storm drains. So please keep this brush away from the storm drains, because it flows into the storm drains when the rain comes and clogs up the lines. Brush is still heavy, that means he's picking up a lot of brush. Curb painting is still underway. Our 4x4 backhoe broke down again, and we're doing in-house repairs. Mowing and trimming is still going on, as well as weeding around the office and hospital intersection. And we will be doing blacktop work this week. Mike has provided us with, I think everybody has 2 estimates here for a, what's the official name of this, Jim? I know you're familiar.
It's a spreader. It's a
Salt
sander.
spreader, sander. Oh, there, salt dog,
Sander spreader.
sander spreader. This is to put on one of our trucks that needs to be updated. He has 2 estimates here. He tried for 3, but the other person didn't get back to him. Hudson River Truck and Trailer has an estimate of, well, there's a $7,162 with these options here. Jim's adding up.
7732.
Okay, Hudson River Truck and Trailers estimate is for $77.32. The other one is Red Hook Automotive Supply is for $76.93.39.
Make a motion.
I make a motion, we go with the Red Hook Automotive Supply to purchase the sander.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted.
That's it for the Highway Department.
Okay. Next is planning and zoning. I thought Terry may be here by now, but he isn't. Everybody saw Bob's report. Under planning and zoning, I guess I'll bring up the issue of sidewalks. We had began the discussion last month about the sidewalks at Hudson Valley Department Store at the corner, and how Barbara and Dick had been very concerned because of this faux step, and I kind of directed them in the proper direction, that they had to go through the planning and zoning department because of the historic preservation law, which there is a public hearing scheduled for September 18th this month to address the faux step. However, in order to speed the sidewalk process, what I had suggested was that the village be the contractor, so it would eliminate the hurdle of the DOT permitting that would be required by the private property owner. So I went out and talked to 3 different mason contractors, got 2 estimates, and I have those estimates here tonight. One is from, and part of the question here was what was caused by tree damage and what was not, okay? And amazingly enough, these 2 estimates came in within $100 of each other. And Bob Brown, who was Precision Concrete, who had done the work for us by the corner cigar store, came in with an estimate of $8,500, and he estimated that of the 470 square feet to replace, 157 square feet was caused by tree damage for a total of $2,800. So the village will be responsible for $2,800 of it. The other bid was for $8,600. So they were, like I said, they were in $100 of each other. So at this point, I would make a motion that we approve hiring Precision Concrete at the $8,500, with the village assuming $2,800 of the $8,500, and the department store to pay the remaining balance. And Dick and Barbara have agreed to this verbally, and you know, we can, as far as getting the work done, come to, you know, some type of a written agreement on it. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I think I have to disqualify myself because they're really good friends of mine.
Okay. That's fine.
It's in the budget. I mean,
Right.
yeah, we still have about 15,000 left in the budget, I think.
So this is to take those fake...
We're not doing, it doesn't involve the steps. It's just doing the sidewalk repair. They
Okay.
still have to go through the historic preservation part to take the step
Oh,
out.
okay.
And then that's their responsibility. That's not ours.
Is it all going to be done at once?
No. The step part's gonna be separate, but Bob said that's not a big deal.
The part of the step go on the sidewalk then?
It sticks into the sidewalk from the building. That's going to be Barbara and Dick's responsibility to do that. We're doing, basically what we're doing is there's two sections of sidewalk between the building and the street. This work that's going to be done is the outer section of sidewalk
Okay,
along the curb.
okay.
And there's, I think, if I remember correctly, there's 11 squares as you come around the corner that are going to be replaced. And the ones that were caused by tree damage is the $2,800.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Yes, yep.
Okay. Thank you. All right, next item is police and court. Brant, Center Street, police
We
station.
have several items on the police station. The first is the septic easement. The Department of Health is requesting that we show that we may have to encroach on this lot with the septic layout for the 14 Center Street. Because we show the redundant area for the infiltrators, the area that we may have to expand to in the future, which hopefully we never will. And it encroaches about 10 by 40, 400 square feet onto this parcel. So Rich has created we surveyed it, and Rich has created an easement agreement. So I put it all in your mailboxes. So I need approval on that. Again, it's the northwest corner, off the northwest corner, about 400 square feet, 10 by 40. Pretty much what it is.
So
And then these are other forms we would need to do if we record the easement.
So you need to make a motion, Brant.
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the easement as it's written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in
Just let me ask a quick question. Quick question.
Don't hesitate.
Where, it's over here?
Yeah. Do you want
Northwest corner.
Is it going underneath where there's
So here's the village hall. This is 14 Center Street, and it's this area in here that goes beyond the lot line just barely.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
not
just a
lot.
small area.
Okay,
But the Board of Health requires that we show it.
right, okay. No, I just wanted to know where it was, okay.
It's part of our Board of Health approval.
It's in your backyard.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, we'll never have to use it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. I have to sign this in front of a notary?
I'll notarize it.
Are you going to record this on Rich, or?
You can have it done.
Then we have the proposal from Rhinebeck Architecture and Planning for the construction management services for the project. And we came in at $24,000, and I asked them to resubmit it with that as the cap and show us the hourly rate for their different disciplines and see if they can come under the cap. So it's been changed to reflect that. And the description is the work will generally include attendance at construction progress meetings, on-site observation of construction, review of contractor submittals, requisitions and change orders for the anticipated 6-month contract. So it's really for contract administration and construction management services for
No,
the
we don't have
project.
that, though.
Yeah, I put it,
Okay, so we need a, all right, that is the same one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I need to sign this one, right? If
yeah, well,
approve
we
it?
need to approve it
Right,
first, yeah.
okay.
So I'd like a motion that we approve that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to point out that they're in a unique position where he's really like the only person who can really do a good job with that because he created the plans and specifications, so.
Well, we're not backing out now.
And it's a good price, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted.
Oh, I didn't say aye, I meant to say aye, sorry. Just so everyone knows about the funding, I talked to the bond representative today, and what's going to happen is on September 19th, he has all the information, all the financial information from us and he's gonna make a information statement that goes out to bond underwriters on September 19th. So bids will come in on October 2nd. And Lisa's gonna he's gonna come up with the lowest qualified bidder, and he's gotta contact Lisa, and we have an hour to approve the rate. It's a 20-year amortization period. It's $900,000 in principal. They're gonna come up with a rate proposal, and we'll have to accept it right away. We have an hour, so hopefully she can confer with me.
Is that normal?
That's how it works. Yeah, that's what he said. That's how it works. They have an hour. She's our treasurer, so she has the authority to do that, make that decision. So, our feeling is it's going to be a really good interest rate. So I don't want to say what I think it's going to be, but
Oh, come on.
it looks good.
Don't tease us.
So we have the funding by then.
Okay.
And then Wayne and I had a pre-construction meeting with the 4 contractors, and that went well, and hopefully we can start construction in a couple weeks. But Wayne needs to get bids for the inspection services for like the steel and the concrete and soils and all that. So he's working diligently on that, and hopefully he'll have 3 bids within a couple days. And we're gonna really have to jump on that because we might have to have a special meeting to approve that contract.
Let me know.
So if 3 of us can get together on, like early next week in the morning or something.
You
and
just gotta
approve
make
this-
sure that Lisa does the public notification, and
Oh,
we'll
that's
do
right,
it.
yeah, we need that, right?
Yeah.
What's the notification period?
You can call a meeting on less than this, it's a 72-hour notice.
72 hours,
72
right?
hours,
Yeah.
okay. So Wayne will get back to us in a couple days, and then we'll have a meeting.
Okay?
We'll be ready.
Okay. Okay. Let me see did I cover everything? Yeah, that's it for now.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, continuing with police and court. I'm happy to report that I got notification from Gail prior to her leaving her office that the revenues in the court, we actually got to keep more money than we sent to the state for the first time that we ever remember. So the reason I bring that up is it's quite obvious that our police department is doing a fantastic job about enforcing the laws in this community. And, sometimes it's very, very difficult. We don't have a big police force, but it's quite obvious that they're diligent in what they do. And, not that we're out there to be a police force that's going out there and being super aggressive. I don't think we're that way. It's just, we're enforcing the law the way the law should be enforced, and they're doing a very good job of it. So hats off to Rhinebeck PD. A sad note, I have received a letter of resignation from Charles Patrone. Many of you are aware, Charles became an officer with us about a year ago, a little over a year ago. Really bright, intelligent, hardworking, diligent officer. But he was working part-time for 2 agencies, and he's now been given a full-time position with the Middletown Police Department. So he has submitted his letter of resignation, and wishes all of us the best of luck. And I would say to him that we wish him the best of luck. He was very, very good while he was here, and I wish him the best in his future. He's got a really bright future in law enforcement. That's all I have for police. We didn't get a dog report, did we, police? Tree Commission, Howie?
Okay, everybody has a copy of the minutes from our last meeting, last Tuesday. I'd just like to point out a few things here. We'd like to welcome our new member, John Weschler. He's very energetic. He's been spearheading the cleanup of the Legion Park on his own with Michael Frazier. That said, Cecily Frazier is going to be out for 2 or 3 months. She's our chairwoman of the Tree Commission. She's having minor surgery, and she'll be back in full force, hopefully in beginning of the year, January. The fall planting is set for November 3rd. We plan on planting 22 trees, and if there's any volunteers out there, we welcome you. We're planning on meeting at the mini park, 9 o'clock. That's a Saturday, November 3rd. There's a few tree applications here I'd like the board to approve. There's one at 14 Livingston, which is going to be hired out to a company called Tree Co. for a takedown.
The landowner's gonna do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other one was a trimming that's going to be done at the Rosenberg residence at 25 Platt, and they're also hiring out to Everhart to do that work. Then there's various ones here we tabled. Those were the two main things. Two main requests for tree applications. So I make a motion that we accept those two requests.
Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So voted.
And there's a list here of all the trees that we plan on planting back here, 22 trees. And there's a thing I have to talk to Rich about, the bylaws.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I had asked Howie because I was a little confused. There's some bylaw changes here, and it says revised and accepted September 4th, 2012, and it says that they were adopted. And I just said to Howie, I says, you know, the village board is the one that really has to approve these, so the village, and they didn't make mention in their minutes. So probably the wording that's here about being adopted and accepted was just an oversight. The adoption is dependent on the approval of the trustees and the village attorney. So Rich is going to review this for us. And,
You have a copy, Rich? No, okay.
now I give him one.
Yeah.
Howie will give you a minute.
He's got one.
Oh, he's got one?
Okay.
I give him mine.
Okay, that's it for the tree committee.
All right. Next thing is website. Dick Wambach has sent me the latest report. You know, I had questioned him and said, you know, how are we doing as far as subscriptions? And updated subscriber notice dated 9/9. We now have 304 subscribers, so it went up about 80 people since last year this time, when right after the storm was when we had that big influx of people. And we had 4 new subscribers in the so far this month, and we had one unsubscribed. So that was the latest on that. It's something I wanted to discuss with the board, and the board, Lisa had come to me. The town board has now been asking us to publish legal notices for their public hearings on our website. And I said, you know, I can't answer that question whether we should be doing that or not. I think it's something that the board as a whole needs to discuss and decide whether we want to do that. My biggest concern, of course, was for a long time there was confusion about who the village website was and who the town website was. And, you know, it was shared, and then we made our split, but the information still remained out there. You know, since I think our website has done very well, and I just didn't want to make a determination on my own about posting town meeting notices on our website without the board's approval. How do you guys feel about it? Is it going to lead to confusion, is my question.
Yeah, I think it is.
does. Yeah, I mean, I think it will.
Is there a link to go to the town, there's a link to go to the town website on
You know,
our
Dick-
website?
Dick had sent me an email about it, and I said, well, definitely, we should not be sending, because we do the instant reminders, the automatic reminders to people, like when we have an informational notice about a scheduled meeting, automatically goes out to our subscribers. We shouldn't be sending town business to our subscribers, because they didn't sign on for that, they signed on for village business. You know? So, I don't know if we should be putting it on our website or not.
I find the town website very hard to navigate when I go in there.
Maybe that's why they're using us.
Well, is there a link on our website to get to the town website?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's all we need.
Yeah. Brent?
Yeah, I'd rather not do it, but I mean, if, I don't want to get anyone infuriated with us,
But then village taxpayers do
Well,
pay town
I mean, I
taxes too,
think that's
so.
why, I think that's why each municipality has its own website.
Yeah.
So that they can
I agree.
have their information centrally located in one place and not have that crossover or that confusion, you know?
There is a lot of confusion to begin with.
Well, that's why we decided to make a change, because
Yeah.
it was
I know.
hard to manage and it was confusing for people.
Where did the request come from?
They had sent a notice over to, Joan, the deputy town clerk, had sent a notice over and asked if we would post it on the website. So the feeling is no.
No.
Okay,
I think no.
all right. Finance and controls, got anything, Brant?
We have a meeting on the 19th, we'll have more after that, so.
Okay. Next item is other business. Is there any?
Well, did everybody get this Thompson Mazzarella Park Committee?
Correspondence.
Oh, okay, okay.
No other business? Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. Last week, I had received a thank you note from Dave's Tree Service. I just want to recognize him. Of all the people that have worked for the village of Rhinebeck, he's the first vendor that has ever sent a thank you notice to us.
And they did a good job.
He did some tree work for us. We hired him to remove some trees, 10 of them, right, throughout the village?
And maybe 12 or 14 of them, yeah.
Yeah, and he came in and bang, 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 got the job done, did a good job, and stopped in my office one day and wanted to thank me for the business and offered to remove the tree back here at 14 Center Street that was in the way of the police station construction and do it for free for the village. So I just want to recognize him for his generosity. Come to find out, I guess he's a police officer across the river. I didn't realize that. And he runs this tree business also. So he, law enforcement's near and dear to his heart, so he offered to take the tree down for free to help us out and sent us this thank you card. So I just want to recognize Dave and thank him for that. We had already heard from Joel earlier about the sales tax decrease, and I had gotten a letter from the county executive. And as Joel said, that the difference between 2012 and 13 projected is $18,392, so.
On what basis that?
Does it show the?
They just show what the distribution was for,
I mean, how much?
it doesn't give you the dollar figure for what the base is.
No,
Is
I
that
mean,
like
our base,
is
our
that
base.
difficult to get? I actually tried to tried to look that up on the website to see what their distribution formula is. Because I know we only end up with about $100,000. I wonder what the gross revenue is
Yeah, it's-
going to the state.
They're saying for
It's
next
gotta be
year,
incredible, like
So
what
it's
they get.
20%?
they're saying for this year it was $120,836. For next year, it's gonna be $102,444.
That's over 20%.
So,
Whatever we can do for them is, no, I'm kidding.
it all runs downhill, man. Okay, I have a letter here dated September 5th, 2012. This is from Donna and Per Paulson, I think it is, 6455 Montgomery Street. Dear sir, as a property owner in Rhinebeck, we wanted to give you notice that the sidewalk in front of our house is defective. One of the concrete slabs is moving up, causing the sidewalk to be uneven. We have already had one incident where a person fell on the spot. This is a potential danger, and we ask you to remedy the situation. We would also appreciate it if you could acknowledge receipt of this letter. We have not received any prior notification on this, to my knowledge, of anything happening in this location. So I'm not aware of a problem there until I got this letter, which was today. All right, I understand that, all right? What I'm saying is we haven't received any written notification from anybody that they fell there, all right? So what I'm gonna say is I don't know what is causing the problem, if it's a tree root or whatever, so we need to go look at this and determine what the problem is and then decide a course of action, okay? So. As you all are aware, our contract negotiations with the collective bargaining unit was sent to mediation and is now scheduled for mediation, and I'm going to need you for this, Brant.
Do you have a
Monday-
date yet, or?
Yep, Monday, October 29th, 4 o'clock here at the Village Hall. You the mediator had been agreed upon, and now the mediator had suggested some dates, and October 29th at 4 PM is going to work out the best,
Okay.
all right?
And this is for municipal employees?
It's for our highway department, water department, wastewater department. All right? We got a letter from the Thomas Thompson Sally Mazzarella Park Committee, dated September 10, yesterday. The Park Committee would like the village board to consider waiving all fees concerning the complete application for the Thomas Thompson Sally Mazzarella Park Site Plan going before the Village Planning Board and all subsequent applications. We would appreciate your cooperation and help in this matter. So basically what they're asking is any building permit fees, construction, application fees.
No, this is a huge project they have.
Correct.
Like $4.5 million, I think they have budgeted for it. Now, they only have funding for probably $300,000, $400,000, maybe $500,000 so far. But
How
this
it
is-
goes well.
I've been on the
You know,
committee for
you've been
about
on-
9
oh,
years.
Okay.
That's what got me into all this. No, but I think it's maybe $2 million project.
No, it's $4.5 million.
Do they have anything
Phase 1
ready?
is 1.6 and phase 2 is 2.5. And they haven't even looked at phase 2 yet. So the first part is, they started test boring and stuff like that. I'm doing a capital plan.
Oh, you are?
No, yeah.
Okay. There's all discrepancies, how much a ball field costs and how much a soccer field, so
Well-
it's all,
I'm not opposed to waiving application fees, but what I will say, if there's any requirement for engineering review on the part of the village, that, how are we gonna factor that? You know?
Those will be escrow fees separate and apart. I think they're just asking for the application fees.
Right, but we're also a partner in this park. So who's absorbing all of the cost as far as the engineering or the legal, or, I mean, they're the lead agency from the construction side of it. We're the lead agency from the grant side of it for application purposes. So is the question going to arise, well, you expect us to pay for your engineer to review that? Does our engineer need to review it if they're the lead agency? That's my question.
I think the tack they have taken is not to have any taxpayer money involved with the Thompson Mazzarella Park Phase 1 and Phase 2. I mean, they're fairly adamant about that all of the money comes from private funding, and all they have gotten so far is from private funding.
well,
Okay, but if we have a plan before the village planning board for infrastructure installation, it needs to be reviewed. So who's reviewing it? If it's in the village, does the village engineer have to review it? If
The
it's
town
in
engineer.
The town engineer reviews. I mean, I'm asking a question because I
Right.
don't know what the answer is.
Did we ever come up with an intermunicipal agreement? We were talking about it. Did we
No,
consummate
Been
one or no?
involved in it.
no.
We never did one. I agree with you. If we have some engineering costs, we should decide whether we want to spend money on that or not, or get reimbursed.
Well, it's not
Because
just,
they're coming to us because they're going in front of the village planning board.
now, it's not just engineering costs. It's also motor
Yeah.
costs.
Engineering,
Now,
legal.
I don't know, how is the planning board funded?
Planning board is,
Well, that, I'm
they're
not,
volunteer people, but anything that needs to be reviewed is typically, as Rich said, an escrow account is established by the applicant to pay for his fees and for the engineer's fees.
And also probably consultants.
Yeah, whoever has to be talked to,
Right.
that is a professional that bills for service. The applicant pays for that. So in this case, we're waiving all of those fees, who's gonna pay for them?
well, but if we specified that our resolution is just specific about application fees, but not ancillary things, or
Well, and again, here, is it important that we have this intermunicipal agreement that spells all of these things out?
And we have a lot of people, our people visiting the park too,
Yeah.
our citizens.
And I'm not opposed to the park, and it's great that we're gonna partner together and try and make this thing happen, but he needs to be paid, the engineer needs to be paid, you know? who's gonna pay for it?
So far, the town has been paying for the engineer
Yeah,
to do so far, but you're saying future costs, maybe?
well, the ones
I mean,
associated
the planning,
with
if the
this.
planning board is involved in this, and the planning board is presented with a plan, and it's got storm drainage and water lines and all of this stuff, the planning board's gonna go, well, engineer needs to look at that.
So we're,
Here, the lawyer needs to tell us whether this is legal or not, you know?
right,
So he's gonna end up in Rich's lap or in Nancy Clark's lap, and they're gonna wanna get paid. We're responsible for paying them, because they're working for the village planning board,
right,
right? Planning board's not gonna approve something without proper advice.
right. So but they're asking for, all fees concerning the complete application.
Yeah, I guess that means.
Well, maybe we better have Bob Ellsworth come here and explain this to us.
I think we need perhaps a joint meeting between the park committee and the town board and the village board. And this all needs to be hammered out and agreed to, you know? I mean, they've got $400,000 to do this. Are they gonna take money from that $400,000 and pay him? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
What are their plans?
Do they have $400,000?
They got that one grant, I know, for
Well,
$400,000.
they also, the town also is putting in money every year, the
Right.
town.
Right, but we have decided not to do that yet, so, you know, we don't wanna get
This is,
caught.
it's what we need to be clear on.
Yeah, with Nancy Clark's fees and,
It's what we need
Just
be
for her to
clear on.
review the plans.
I believe that they intend to fund this, but we need to make sure that it's in place.
we could just probably make that clear in our
We got
motion.
almost $400,000 so far.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They got that one grant, it was almost
We
$400
got
grand, right?
$93,000 just a couple of weeks ago
Yep.
from the gardens.
Yeah, it says all fees, waiving all fees.
Conversation needs to expand,
Mhm.
okay? Let Bob know that?
Yes.
All right. Not that we don't want to work with them on the park.
No, I understand. The park has 75% of it goes through the village.
Howie, what is your relationship exactly with the Thompson Park?
Well, I was originally put on it as a village resident.
Are you a liaison for?
No, I'm
the
not
board?
the, well, yeah, I am the liaison now for the village. Yeah, I was switched over to the liaison when I came on the village board.
Because question I have, you know, I'm doing the town's capital plan. And I'm really familiar with pretty familiar with all the ins and outs. Is that going to be a problem for either them or us, or let's say for us here, for me working on the capital planning?
Conflict of interest is
Conflict
bringing
of
up.
interest,
Why don't you and I sit down and talk about what you're doing, and
Okay.
then we can discuss that.
Or you could ask the ethics board, we still have an ethics board. They need something, they need something.
I'm on it, yeah, that's another conflict of interest.
Oh, man.
You're conflicted.
Triple conflict.
That's why I got out of everything
Yeah,
else.
I know, yeah.
Okay. I had received an email from John Worth. You know, John is the chair of the steering committee that's been working on the events code. And he said that we ought to think about setting a date for a public workshop. And he seems to think that they're probably going to be done here probably in November sometime with their work. He did bring up the question about the parameters of insurance for events that are staged. You know, like when somebody's going to bring in an event, what type of coverages is the village going to want? You know, and he said that we, as a board, probably should confer with the village attorney and determine what we want to do there. So that was one of the questions that the steering committee had brought up. So I think, you know, probably next month sometime, we'll set up some type of a workshop meeting for people to come and hear what they're proposing. And once we go through that workshop type meeting, then maybe once we finish that, if we don't have considerable concerns, we could set it for public hearing. Okay? Anybody have any other correspondence? You got anything else, Lisa, that I'm not bringing to the table?
No, that's okay.
That's
That's
it?
all I have.
Okay, water and sewer adjustments. We have a credit of $1,189 for an error in billing. We have a credit of $63.55 for an error in billing. We have a debit of a previous adjustment of $10.91 and a debit of $21 in usage and a credit of $25.80. That's it. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? So voted. Minutes approval. We have minutes from the August 28th meeting.
Adjustments that, I created two adjustments for a very small amount of money. Is that getting discussed here, or is this in these numbers here?
Adjustments to water and sewer accounts?
To the water account.
That's what this is.
That's what it is, okay.
Yeah.
It was only $15 for the two of them.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I got that. I just didn't know how to read it.
All right, we have minutes to approve from August 28th. Are there any additions, omissions, or corrections? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Hines abstains, right?
Yeah.
I need a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So voted. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for our two remaining audience members.